this is Chris Bednarek with the OSFM's Division of Personnel Standards and Education. One of the things we get asked quite often when we're out doing vector training for recertification is, how do you get all those cool little boxes in your bulletin board? In the vector world, they call those hot buttons. They're basically hyperlinks. It's just an image that directs the individual recording a completion to a specific activity. So we're going to go through one way to create these hot buttons. You may have a different way. This is just the way that I do it, and it gets me to where I need to be. The one that we're going to work on today is this one here where it says Ambulance 67 is for driver's training. You can see that I have a typo in here. So it's actually in the text it says Ambulance 68, even though it's for Ambulance 67. I'm going to show you how we are going to fix that up and make it read properly. The first thing that I do is I open up my hot button template file in PowerPoint. I have this set up so that all of my little boxes look the same. All I have to do is change the image and the text. So you can see that I have this placeholder in here. I'm going to go ahead and right click on that, change the picture from a file because I do have an image that I want to use. I'm going to double click on that, and you can see that this is a picture of our Ambulance 67. If I go to format this picture and click on this crop button here real quick, you can see that it's actually more of a rectangular image. I could choose to shrink this whole thing down, but then it's going to make it really small, which basically it would look more like that, which actually isn't that bad. So maybe we'll just leave our image alone that way. Adjust these borders here a little bit. So now maybe I can make this just a skosh bigger. All right, that looks pretty good. So now our text box isn't quite where we're going to want it either. We're going to move that up a little bit just so it's a little more visually centered. And we're going to change up our text. All right. From here, if you're familiar with PowerPoint, you can do whatever you'd like. We could change the font if we want. Let's go with something a little bit different, something that's kind of close to what's there now. We're going to go ahead and we're going to save this because I just like to save them just in case there's something I want to do later. We're going to save this as a PowerPoint. We're going to do a save as here real quick, and we're going to call it Ambo 67, just so that later on as we're working on this, if I realize that I had a typo, if there was something about it that I just didn't care for, then I have this saved to be able to work on that as well. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a screen grab. Depending on the system you are using, there are a couple different ways to get there. I use the print screen button. I am on a PC-based machine right now. If I was on my Mac, it would be Shift Command 5, if I recall correctly. And you can do the same thing. You can select the area that you want to copy. So we're just going to save this. We'll just let it go to my desktop for right now. We'll hit save. So now I have just this portion saved as an image file, and that's what I'm going to use to add to my vector platform. Now that I have my image all ready to go, I need to import it into my Vector Solutions site. So the place I want to do that is in my file center. It has to have a place to live, so I'm going to choose just my site, not the OSFM's. And I have a folder entitled Bulletin Board Resources, where I keep all the things that belong on my bulletin board. Hot button images, I have a folder just for that as well. And you can see I have all of my different images in here, some that I don't use anymore, but they all just still kind of live in here. But I'm going to upload my new file. So I'm just going to drag it right into here. It's going to upload. I like to clean up the file name just a little bit, and I do share most of the things that I add to my file center. I'm going to click the box to share. I'm going to confirm that I have read the terms of use in the past. Not that anyone specifically is going to want to use this particular image of our ambulance, but it's there if somebody should want to. And then I'm going to just update that image, and we're all ready to go. If I go back to my hot button images, I can see that Ambo 67 hot button is right here. The next thing that I like to do is I open up Notepad. Here we are. I'm just going to scoot it out of the way here for a second, because what I need is the address of this file. I need the hyperlink. So I'm going to copy that link address and I'm going to paste it right here into my Notepad. Notepad's an app I never really used to use a whole lot, but I find that with Vector, I do use it quite a bit. And I'm just going to scoot this right out of the frame here for another minute. The next thing that I'm going to need is the address of that activity. So I'm going to go to record completions and I'm going to search for, and what I'm going to do also is just narrow down this search a little bit so I can find it easier. And there it is, driver operator training for ambulance 67. And I am going to copy the hyperlink right out of the address bar for this activity. I'm going to come right back in here to my Notepad and drop that in there as well. So you can see both of these look pretty similar, so it's a good thing to make sure you keep track of which one is which. I usually like to put at least 1 or 2 spaces in between so I don't get confused myself. And I'm going to scoot this right back out of frame. Go back to the home screen. Now is when I can start messing with my bulletin board. The first thing that I am going to do is go up here into this gearbox, click on that gear. This puts me into the edit mode. A handy thing that I learned is whenever you're messing around with your bulletin board, you need to create a way to recover it should you mess something up. The good folks over at Vector can recover, in some cases, your bulletin board should you accidentally delete it or mess it up. But from what I understand, this is a fairly labor-intensive process for them. So here is a little trick so that you can have a little safety net for yourself. In this case, I like to use a Word document, just plain old blank one. It keeps it separate from everything else that I'm doing. I'm going to click these 2 little arrows right here, and if I hover over it, you can see it says source code. When I click on that, this brings me all of the HTML code associated with my bulletin board as it currently stands. So I'm going to select all of it, and I'm going to copy it, and I'm just going to paste that right into my Word document. And as long as you don't close this, you don't really have to do anything with it. This is just a security blanket for us right now in case we mess something up. We can always just copy all of this code again and paste it back into our bulletin board. Here's the guy that we want to mess with. This one that says ambulance 67, but really says ambulance 68. And so we're going to click on this image, and we can see this source. This is where that image lives. So what I want to do now is I'm going to go ahead and copy that image address that I copied a couple seconds ago, and I am going to replace what is currently here with that new information. I don't worry so much about the description, and I know on my bulletin board I need my image to be 100 by 100. That's what the rest of my little squares are. These larger ones down here are 100 by 400. And I'm going to hit save. And you can see now that I have changed this image to our new image. So now that we have our new image all set up, we just want to verify that the link is still going where we want it to go. Since I just replaced an image, the link is already there. But if you were doing this from scratch, we'd hit this little insert link button. And here is the link to our activity. One of the biggest things here is this activity number here at the very end. We want to make sure that that still matches up 1913239, and it does. If there was any issue with this link, I would just copy the one that I threw into the notepad and paste it in here. Again, I don't really need a title. I like it to open right in the current window, keeps everybody right where they are, but you do have the ability to open this in a new window if you would like. When you're done, Just scroll to the very bottom and click submit. And when we open up, our bulletin board has our new image. If we click on it, we can see that when we go to record completions, here we are with ambulance 67 drivers training as our activity. One pitfall to doing this, and I've learned by experience, is if you are in the activities builder and we're in the activity building for ambulance 67 drivers training, you might be tempted to copy the hyperlink that's in your address bar here in your activities builder. If you do that, when someone clicks that button on your bulletin board on your home page, it's going to bring them to the activities builder and not to the record completions. And if that is someone who does not have supervisory rights within your platform, they won't be able to get anywhere. It will tell them that the page they are looking for can't be found. Otherwise, it's the same process for any image you might want to add to your bulletin board. Regardless of the shape, size, graphic, or text that you have in there, these are all just hyperlinks and you can follow the same procedure. I use PowerPoint because it's easy. I generally don't need more powerful editing software like Photoshop. You can do this with Google Slides. Whatever makes your life easiest. If you have software that's your favorite, go ahead and use that. These larger images are just resized differently, and they have a little bit of text on top of them instead of underneath, but they all work the same way. I hope this helps you out in customizing your site, making it a little bit more fun for your users. And if you have any questions, as always, please feel free to reach out to us or Vector Solutions, and we'll do everything we can to help you out.